we're going to answer back. We're not going to sit and, feel sorry for ourselves. We're going to clean it up, find what we did wrong, get it better, and go out there and perform.
I think, get punched in the mouth game one and then come back and have two really awesome games, both on the offensive and defensive side and, pitching as well.
I know you spoke before the merits of leaving Fernando exactly where he is and the disruption he can cause at the off, but when he struggles like this, any thoughts of moving him down in the order, or do you get
struggles because he had a bad game? Or I've looked at his numbers in the last 6 weeks, pretty good. 400 plus over on base. Fernando's played very well for us, and I don't know what more to say. You can always have a knee-jerk reaction if a guy doesn't get hit. But yeah, I trust Toddy completely. I love the fact he leads off for us.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time you're watching this. Welcome to Marty Time TV. I am Marty Caswell. We are brought to you by the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. I'm excited. I'm highly caffeinated. I'm ready to run through a wall for a couple of reasons. The 5 greatest words on this planet. School is back in session, but even bigger than that, more importantly than that, my guy Darren Smith is back on the show. I'm not even joking, guys. I have not seen Darren in months. We text here and there. I see him on Threads. He's big on Threads, but I haven't caught up with Darren's life. So the only way to get caught up on Darren's life is to book him for this show. He's a busy man and he's hard to book. Darren, it's great to see you again. How have you been?
Marty, good to see you. Good to chat with you. It's really not as difficult as you're making it out to be.
It is.
I know you always like laying it on thick about how terrible of a texter I am.
Worst.
And how it's impossible to get in touch, but
Horrible.
I'm available. Life is pretty good. Life's pretty busy. SDFC is keeping me busy. And obviously there's a million other things, got this little media venture that's trying to get off the ground, which we've had some good success with, but I will always be available, Marty, for you. And I will say, just taking a peek in the background there, it just reminds me of those wonderful, wonderful COVID shows that we did right there from that living room. Yep. Indeed. Good times.
Yeah, the COVID show, that was interesting. There were times we did it like on a kiddie table, a Nickelodeon table, from the floor. Yeah, those were interesting times. Tech failures. By the way, speaking of tech failures, right? Okay, so to go ahead and start today's show, I played a little bit of, Fernando Tatis from yesterday and Jake Cronenworth from yesterday talking with the Padres getting punched in the face on Friday night versus the Boston Red Sox, but finding a way to go ahead and win the final 2 games. And then because this is what I do, Darren, I always have like really, really bad audio. I had undermodulated audio of Mike Shildt when I asked him about, and it's bothered me for 3 days. It's bothered me like round the clock where I can't stop thinking about it, which is why it's self-serving that I'm bringing it back. But I asked Mike Shildt on Friday after Fernando struck out like 3 times, had some horrible at-bats. Have you thought about moving him out of that leadoff spot? Because he hasn't been the same player, doesn't have that slug. He looked defeated at home plate, and he was like flabbergasted. He seemed like, what are you talking about? You're an idiot. He didn't say it like that, but he may as well have. And I'm bothered by it because, and I'm not sure if maybe you read it in Kevin Acey's Daily when he talks about Fernando's struggles and how he always defends his players. I am mad at myself because I did not come back to Mike Shildt and say, listen, dude, what do you mean? What do you mean he's been great? That you're happy with him? I mean, you have moved players around this lineup before when they've struggled, including Jackson Merrill, including Xander Bogaerts. And I realize that you're going to keep Tatis in a different category. But what I should have said was he's hitting a $159 over the past 2 weeks. He's got 2 RBIs. He has the worst slug on this team. What are you talking about? Have I been watching Fernando? So I want to go ahead and get that off my chest because it's really, 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 really bothered me. I get that Mike Shildt is protective of his players, but it's okay to criticize players when they're not performing the way you expect them to. And he hasn't been. So Darren, thank you for letting me share my angst and using my self-serving audio to go and explain why I'm so mad at myself. And I'm also mad at Mike Shildt.
Okay, good. I'm glad. That's a good way to start your week, Marty, is by just putting it all out there. This thing that has been bothering you since Friday night, just a good way to get it going in the first 2 minutes of your show here today is to say, this has been eating at me since Friday night. Why didn't I have a retort for Mike Shildt? Yeah. Because in that situation, sometimes you can see the look on his face. It looks very familiar. That was the first time that I had a chance to see it. I think I only saw what it was that he said via social media. Jim Russell, of course, probably put it out there. He's like, oh, Shildt thinks everything's great. And yeah, so it's the first time I saw it, but you could tell he was just sort of itching for a back and forth in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had that look on his face like he had with Dennis or like he's had with AJ over the years, where he's just sort of itching for a, you don't think he's got it today? He had that kind of sort of silly look on his face. So I don't know how far that really would have gone, Marty. It might have made you feel better pointing out that Fernando has only hit 159, but I'm sure he would have had a response for that. It'd be like, well, he's got the highest baseball reference WAR on the team. What are you talking? Like that was just a no-win situation. So you're probably better off for not extending that conversation, in my opinion. But I understand the way you're wired.
You do. So anyways, now I feel better. I can go ahead and get on with my day. All right, Darren. Oh, by the way, before we get to the Padres and we can talk about some of the trade stuff, I'm sure you have on your show, and I do want to get into everything that you're doing, because I can't go anywhere without someone saying, man, what's Darren, how's Darren doing? And there are people that are very well aware of what you're doing with Section 1904, and also with SDFC. But there are people that don't know that what I'm doing or what you're doing. Shout out to Mike, the lifeguard from Mission Beach. He misses your show, misses you big time, misses our show that we had from 12 to 3 for the past, whatever it was, 15, 16, 17 years. So thanks to all you listeners who are joining us today. All right.
Yeah. By the way, can I just say real quick, that happened to me on Saturday, as a matter of fact, because we were doing the broadcast, some of these away games we do from the iHeart studios.
Oh, is that Saturday? Okay.
Yeah. So we were doing the game on Saturday against Sporting KC, and I stopped in Mission Valley. There's this Cuban coffee place. I don't know if you've been there in the Mission Valley Mall, because I know you love nobody loves Cubano more than Marty.
Love Cubano.
And I stopped and I was waiting for a cafecito, and a gentleman walks up and he's like, one of those kind of, I know you, like Darren Smith. He's like, whatever happened to your show? And I was like, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. He asked about you. I said, Marty Time TV. You should check it out. It's on YouTube. So I'm terrible with names. I would love to shout this person out, like Mike the lifeguard, but that person just most recently on Saturday was inquiring. So I said, yeah, we're all spread out a little bit now. We're all doing different things on different platforms. So you got to make a little bit of an effort, but we're still out there in sort of similar capacity, I think.
Okay. Yeah, exactly right. All right. I buried the lead. Shakira was at Petco Park on Saturday, Darren, and I did not see her. You did not see her, and I'm bummed out because she got stuck. I'm not sure if you guys know if this has been published anywhere, but she got stuck with her crew of 14 in the Padres press box elevator. Like I couldn't figure out. Stuck on the way. Now that elevator has been stuck like twice in the history of Petco Park. It happened earlier to start this homestand, and then half the media could not get down from Mike Shildt's post-game presser. They were late to it because the elevator was stuck. Shakira was stuck in the press box elevator with her crew of 14. And I'm now kicking myself for actually, paying attention to a Mike Shildt presser when I should have been parked outside the elevator to ask her questions. That to me was a story, and I missed it. I whipped. Forget me not having come back from Mike Shildt. I missed on Shakira being in the press box elevator on Saturday.
I know. I missed on Shakira being in at Petco Park, period. I mean, I just saw that last night, like literally showed the Instagram reel to Lee. I was like, oh, wow, Shakira. Does that mean our man Frank, who is the elevator attendant?
Frank.
I think he's still the elevator attendant.
He is.
He's a phenomenal human being. Yes, there is an elevator attendant at Petco Park, and he has the same great line every time. You say, hey, Frank, how's it going? He says,
I know.
Up and down. Yeah, which is very clever because he's in an elevator. Get it?
Right.
So and I wonder what that was like for him. That's an interview you should book. What was going on in that elevator while the elevator was stopped? That's much more interesting than anything Mike Shildt has to say.
That's you're completely true. You're completely right about that. Okay, Darren. Now listen, I wasn't sure. There's different ways to go ahead and start today's show. I know you guys cover the Padres a ton on your platform as well, but I'll start like this. Going into this season, do you think AJ Preller had to win? And we'll define their definition of what winning for this organization is for this team right now. Do you think he had to win to save his job? And do you think he has done that so far this season?
Yes and no, because I don't know that the job is done, right? Like there's still time. Things are good. 2 games out of first.
Yep.
I'm sure we'll get into what's going on over the next 13 games with San Francisco, LA, and LA and San Francisco. So but I do think that there is that sense out there. I do believe that I think even just looking at what we know publicly, right? Forget about any sort of insider information or you lurking around the dugout and the shadows of Petco Park.
Yep.
I do think that there was a little bit of a prove it for AJ Preller this year. Now, defining what winning is also interesting, right? So, I think if you were to ask some people, well, what does he have to do to save his job? Some would say, well, what if we're like really, really good all the way up until the end of the season, but we come up just short of the playoffs? I don't think that's good enough. I don't think that's going to be viewed as good enough. That's just my own personal opinion. I think you can make a valid case for it, right? Like, let's say there's a whole bunch of injuries or what have you, circumstances that, just completely unforeseen, and this thing happens to crater. I don't think it's going to happen, but let's say it does. And you come up just short. You're like, oh, wow, okay. Well, where does that leave us? That'll be, I think, a debatable decision. But, I think that this team now has a trajectory where it's heading towards the playoffs. I think that's probably going to be good enough to save AJ Preller's job. But yeah, I mean, I do think that there was a little bit. I think that that's been kind of floating out there. I mean, maybe it's not the most reported on aspect of the Padres, but I do think it's been floating out there. Yeah, I mean, I mean, I'm not trying to be a troublemaker here, but I don't know that this relationship between the CEO and the president of baseball operations is the greatest one that everybody's ever seen. So, if there was an opportunity to say maybe it's time, to chart a different course and go in a different direction, a season where you don't end up in the playoffs is maybe one of those opportunities. But, I don't think that's where this is heading. And, I don't think that's the decision. But, again, that's just from where I sit, which is, literally like the second floor of my house in Imperial Beach. But, again, and like, this is anecdotal, but, there was that letter that went out to season ticket holders last week. And I don't know, Marty, if you had a chance to read that, but, like, I don't want to get into the details about what it is that the Padres are doing in terms of raising ticket prices. That's the business side. But, when you're making the case that ticket sales are going to increase again at Petco Park, and you rattle off the name of 11 different players, right? Yeah. You say, oh, we've had these all-stars, and we brought in these players at the trade deadline, and we've got a great manager named Mike Shildt. You figured out a way to name 11 players, get Mike Shildt into that letter. It was signed by Eric Grupner, and there wasn't any mention of AJ Preller, who, by the way, was the toast of Major League Baseball for a couple of days for everything that he did at the trade deadline. Yep. You can tell me that was just a little bit of a, we just, gosh, we whiffed on that one. Maybe we made a mistake. But I've asked other people in other organizations, like, would you read into this? They're like, yeah, you can't send that letter out. You can't send that out unless you want to send that out without AJ Preller's name being in there. So, read into that whatever you want, I suppose. Maybe some will say that's nothing. Maybe some will say that that's something. I happen to be in the camp of the latter.
I would have to agree with you. And to that point, Darren, now I saw John Seiler and Tom Seiler very, very briefly. They were outside. They were in the tunnel outside the elevator on Shakira night on Saturday, but I was too wired to, and I've been wanting to talk to John. I've requested, can I speak to John Seiler? Because I do want to speak to him. I mean, we have not had that chance, right? He gave, I think, one on the record interview to Kevin Acee back in spring training, saw him for a second and a half at the Jackson Merrill presser, and I've seen him here and there once in a while on the field, right? And the players kind of walk by him. I'm not sure I don't think there is an established relationship with John the way that they were so clearly close with Peter, different player, it's a different person, completely different role, which I understand. That stuff, who's calling me?
Oh man.
Sorry about that.
And
that stuff, yeah. Yeah. Oh, hey, it's John Seiler, just joking. That stuff takes time and it has to be organic. But no, I have wanted to speak to him about expectations and his role and what's the plan for this ownership group going forward. And also the status for AJ Preller. He has 1 year left on his deal. Okay. And I think it's a bit more, I think at this point, when you see what's happening, I mean, I would be shocked if they were not in the playoffs again. Hopefully make a deep postseason run, just on how this roster has been constructed and how good the pitching is. That's the thing that carries you in the end. I think the Padres are also on track to probably set another new attendance record, which is unbelievable. Every game, it wouldn't shock me, Darren, if every single game the rest of this season is sold out. And to your point, when you think about what they outlined in that season ticket letter, that is about AJ Preller. It's not necessarily going to be about the uniforms. It's not about the concessions and how great the food is. And by the way, the food is outstanding, right? Or the great remodeling job they did at Petco Park, and they make it look new every single year. And what they did at the old park in the park, all that stuff matters. But the people are coming in here because of the players that he has brought in, right? And the
players that they singled out in the same letter. Like, there's 11 players named in this. Like, here's the reason why.
Yeah.
Well, like how do we keep getting to this point? You know, where is that energy and that electricity coming from? Like
Right.
it's coming from the creativity of your president of baseball operations.
Yeah.
You know, who I think just deserve better than that. Now, again, maybe there's something going on. Maybe Preller's shy and he doesn't want his name in this email. Probably not. Probably not the case. I think you and I know him a little bit. I don't think he's even aware of this, but but we are. And you know, again, I just think that's after I don't watch a ton of MLB Network these days, but after watching all these clips go cycling through my feed of everybody like AJ Preller, man, AJ Preller, how about AJ Preller? Like, what was he getting too much attention? Like, is that not? I mean, there's enough there to go around. You know, the ballpark does look great. You're right. Like the business side should take a bow. You know, we were joking a little bit about the whole #1 ballpark thing, but it is like a great ballpark. Like it is a phenomenal ballpark. I don't think there are any ballparks that I would rather go to on a regular basis than Petco Park.
No.
So like you're getting all of your credit, but it also, and this is the other point that I would make too, because you and I knew Peter very well. Anything that was ever authored by Peter that went out there publicly was in praise of Preller and Grupner. So, it does stand out to me that this one, was penned and signed. Maybe it was the auto pen, Marty. I don't know. But it did have Eric Grupner's signature on it. And it just, it didn't include the guy that did everything, that moved mountains here to make this roster look the way it does heading into August. And I just, again, tell me that you whiffed on it. Tell me it was a mistake. But, I don't believe that.
So you think extension happens? Do you think the Padres would be okay to let him go ahead and go into next season? The Cubs did it with Jed Hoyer, who just signed an extension, right?
Yep.
Do you think they would be content to let AJ Preller go into next year without an extension? And then I know you brought up a couple different times that there could be a work stoppage the year after. So maybe for you, the Padres, you're in no rush for that. But I would say this. I think if the Padres were to move on from AJ Preller for whatever reason, I don't think he would have any shortage of suitors for teams looking for him to go ahead and make a splash and make a buzz and either, build up their organization, either the 1-year plan like he tried in 2015, which didn't work, the 3-year plan with the Rule 5 guys, or the 5-year plan. And I just think that right now, this has been probably this has been the most exciting era of Padres baseball. Because it's different. It's a different expectation. It's a different sort of fan base. It's just, there's never been anything quite like it. You may hate the moves. You may hate, moving on from James Wood. You may hate moving on from DeVries, but you're still a Padres fan and you are still following this team because they're finding ways to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and I think I'm constantly reminded too of something that John Conniff said to us on radio, which is, your minor leagues aren't just there to promote and contribute to, to turn into big league prospects. They're there to help the big league club. And, that's what James Wood, that's what he did. That's what Leo DeVries did. Like they helped the big league club. And who would you trust more to restock the system than that guy? I mean, I never know what to believe anymore when it comes to social media, but it seems to me like there's some big international prospect whose name I couldn't tell you. If you gave me $1 million and it says, Preller's in on this guy already. So, from that standpoint, and it's like, hey, you're not going to give me the money? Fine. Then, this is what I'm going to have to do.
Yeah.
And I think these guys are keenly aware of what it is that they're trading. I don't think that there's, I remember, being around a member of the Padres front office when they were getting set for the Soto trade. And they're like, we know it's going to hurt to trade James Wood. Like we know, but we feel like it's worth it to take a shot right now at the World Series. That's the way we feel about this situation. And I'm guessing it was something similar here about Leo DeVries. Like we know this is going to cut deep, but we feel like right now this is worth it. By the way, we've seen other trade deadlines where they haven't gone to those lengths. So let that be a statement about those previous clubs and the approach at the deadline, right? So I still think they have stuff, and I think that they can figure out a way. I mean, we all understand what the flaws are here about the roster and it being imbalanced, and you have these big payrolls and you're going to have to, these big contracts, you're going to have to sign some guys and all that. We all understand it, but I'm with you. Like, there is nothing quite like the juice provided by an AJ Preller all-in trade deadline. I mean, there's just sort of like, it's a drug. And I think a lot of us are addicted to it.
The trade deadline.
I want to say real quick on this, because I just don't want to let this point drift. Okay. But maybe there's a case to be made that, Preller's unique style, worked so well because of Peter's unique style in being an owner. Now that, that I think would be a fair discussion, that, that really what it was that made Preller special was unique because it was tethered to Peter Seidler and his unique way of ownership. I don't know that. And if you want to make a compelling case that, maybe we're entering a different era where, things are going to be, it's not going to be as, seat of your pants or what have you. Okay. Yeah. I can listen, but, I also think I would rather keep rolling with this guy for a while. I think it'd be gonna get a lot boring around here, if you bring in some level-headed nerd just to run the front office.
I would agree with you. All right. I started talking about Tatis. Any sense that the Padres are a little bit frustrated with Fernando Tatis? Still finding ways to impact this team, but he is not the player. He has not been the player this year that you expect that he's been in the past, where he picks this team up and he carries them in the postseason. Yeah. And I know we've talked, is he healthy? Is there something else going on? Perhaps if there's a lot going on field. That's his business. It's not mine. I really don't like talking about it. But I mean, we are all impacted by off-field distractions. Is that any of it? Is there anything with his dad? I mean, he had like a 1 week stretch and he talked about, hey, my dad was in San Diego and he was helping me out. And I know they talk often and his dad's been impactful for him. But do you think the Padres are frustrated that he has not really taken off this season?
Probably. I think that they're probably just hoping for the best with him at this point. Not being around it, Marty, as much as you are, it just makes me guess a little bit. So, it's just speculation. But, it does remind me perhaps a little bit of a situation that I can remember. You and I don't think this was privileged, but I think we had a conversation, speaking of Jed Hoyer, about the Cubs in 2016. And I think they had just signed, Jason Hayward. Right. And like, they were like, yeah, listen, he can't be fixed during the regular season. Like whatever it is that's going on with him, we got to fix during the off season, and we just don't have the time at this point. We need him. He does other things. He's a leader. We need him in the outfield. He can still do that, but that swing is a disaster. Like, it's just he's got to figure it out in the off season. And again, I'm just spitballing. I don't know anything. I don't try to be a hitting coach. I don't try to be a psychologist, but I do wonder if there's a little bit of that with Tatis, that you're like, hey, listen, it's not like we can just, we just can't give this guy a break. We can't just take him out of the lineup. We can't just do the things that we've done in previous years. Remember a couple of years ago when they told Josh Hader, listen, pal, you're not going to close for a little while. We got to sort it out. You got to get sorted here. And we'll figure out a way to work you back. Like, it's not that, you can't do that with this guy because, he still is capable, right? He's still very capable. Mm-hmm. And it's not like he's being completely unproductive. He's just not being Fernando Tatis Jr., like, where are the moments where like every time he comes to the plate, it's like, whoa, everybody stop what you're doing. It's Fernando coming to the plate. Now you're just like, he's just another dude. So, I mean, everybody keeps waiting for it. And just sort of, I don't know. I mean, I'm just guessing here, that it's not something that's fatally flawed, but it might be something that you just have to, you got to hope for the best, get the best that you can out of him between now and the end of the season, whenever that is, hopefully into October, and then try to address it and figure something out in the offseason. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels like it's kind of one of those things. Mm-hmm. And again, that's just me totally speculating, but it reminds me a little bit of that conversation that we had with Jed, where they're like, yeah, we couldn't do anything about Hayward. We just said, we'll figure it out in the offseason.
How much longer do you think the Padres expect Yu Darvish to pitch?
Well,
and again, another reason real quick, another reason why you had to go for it at the deadline. You had to, because I know we talked a couple of years ago about maybe that was the best window when they had, the Blake Snell and the Josh Hader, and they had an elite pitching staff as well. But like right now, man, Darren, as this roster is constructed, man, I mean, Dylan Cease is he's gonna make some money. He is gonna get paid. He is gonna come back at the exact right time for the Padres, which we've seen his last two starts. I would love it. Michael King is one of my favorite players to cover of all time. That guy is just awesome. Maybe they can figure something out with him. I mean, I don't know, but this is your window, right? Yu Darvish is not going to get any healthier. He's going to miss time every single year, and he's back now, which is wonderful. But I wonder, and he said when he signed his extension, I don't know how much longer I'm going to play. Like, he wasn't expecting to fulfill the entirety of his contract. What do you think? Are we so sure he pitches next year and the year after?
No, I'm happy he's pitching tonight. I mean, I'm not even kidding when I say that. Yu has been and continues to be, I think, my favorite pitcher on this staff.
Yeah.
Just from the standpoint of watching him. I thought something Shildt said during a pregame session sometime over the last couple of weeks was like, he's just really brave when he's out there. Like he said something along those lines. Like the words that Shildt chose, I thought were really interesting. In that he said, there's like, I appreciate, the courage that it takes, or something like that, for him to go out there. And it just made me like, I do wonder what it is that's going on there. Like I do think, not that, like, no pitcher is healthy, right? None of these guys, none of their elbows are good. None of their shoulders are good. Like these guys, what they do, it's not normal. It's not healthy. And, Yu's been through it. He's 39 years old, and I just think he's giving you everything that he possibly has left. And, I appreciate that. And, like I said, I'm only half kidding when I say, like, I just am glad that he's pitching tonight, and hopefully again, he'll pitch in another 5 days. And then you take it from there. I think he's earned the grace to be part of whatever decision it is that's going to be made. As long as his body is healthy, as long as his body is healthy. But, you and I heard the same words over the last couple of months when he was trying to come back. He was talking about his elbow and his forearm. And like, these are all the words that we kind of know what those words mean. And so, from that standpoint, I do appreciate that he's able to get up there and still pitch. That performance he had against the Mets was like legitimately, like a throwback for Yu Darvish, and one that you're like, let's hope there's more of that to come. Hopefully tonight. Last one, not so great, but I just do think, you can sort of see the finish line for him. And I think he's a very proud player, and I don't think he's just going to hang around. So, I just enjoy it start by start, Marty. Honestly, I really do. I look forward to watching him tonight against Webb. I think it's going to be a pretty good pitching matchup. And I just keep my fingers crossed that he's, he's got enough left here to figure out the rest of the regular season.
That's really interesting. And I think that there is a, I'm trying to think of the right word, and I had it and I should have written it down because I forgot about it, but honorable. Like, he's a very honorable person and player. Like, when he took leave from the Padres a couple of years ago, unpaid leave, he didn't have to do that. I feel like he feels some sort of sense of obligation to the Padres and to Preller and, and the organization for paying him, and he wants to go ahead and deliver. And I think that stuff that really wears on.
And I think, that leave that he took, for whatever the circumstances were, the other thing that I understood about is he also wanted to make it clear wherever he was in the world while he was dealing with his personal situation, he was getting the message back to teammates. Like, listen, I'm not game ready, but I'm doing everything. I am not also just completely ignoring my professional responsibilities. I'm staying as ready as I possibly can stay, just so everybody knows. I don't know what that means. I don't know if I'm going to make it back. You might have seen the last of me, but like he made it a point of communicating with the organization and his teammates, that he was staying in some sort of baseball shape, which again, I think speaks to the honor that you come to expect from Yu Darvish.
Taking this long, we haven't brought up Manny Machado yet. Darren, what's been your sense of Manny Machado this season? He's been a very interesting person to cover. And I will say this: fatherhood changes everybody. I don't think it's changed anyone more than Manny Machado. I know that you and I back in the day, we used to live for the sound bites of him, shoving Kevin AC into the closet or whatever else and biting back. And he has not done that this season. It's been different. A lot of times in post-game, man, it's his little son biting at his ankles and pick me up. And he's swinging a baseball bat. It's so cute. I mean, Manny Machado is happy. He's in a good place. He's different this year, man, to cover. Keep calling you man.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Well, he's my boss. So, I love him. And he should win the MVP award, obviously. So, no, I don't know that Manny has any idea that there's even an English language radio broadcast of SDFC games. But, he's been one of, honestly, there's some of the clubhouse stuff, I think, sometimes that, whatever. But I do think from a pure baseball standpoint, he's been one of my favorite players to watch. It got to the point earlier this year where you're starting to think like, I wonder what the statue of Manny Machado is going to look like. Like we just get to that point with him where he's at that point of his career. I think, watching him play, I guess Defensively, you know, they got to get him off his feet a little bit more than they used to. But from that standpoint, you know, I mean, he's still just the dude, you know, and I think also him being one of the more emotional leaders of the team as well, you know, has been something worth watching. I know last summer we talked about it with the Washington Nationals, where he got right in there over the shoulder of his boy Jerks Profar against the Nats in that game at Petco Park, and he was sort of itching for it. And we've seen him in other circumstances kind of itching for it against the Dodgers. So, you know, I like that version of Manny. You know, I'm glad that fatherhood has had some sort of impact on him that you can speak to way more than I can. But I'm also glad that it's not like it's completely lost his edge, right? Because he still has that edge. And I think, you know, that's an important thing. You know, maybe he realizes bantering back and forth with you clowns is not well with AC. But, you know, maybe he realizes that that's, you know, what am I doing? Why am I wasting my time with this? I've got more important things to do now than to argue with Kevin Acee about, you know, my swing. But, you know, I mean, I still like that he has an edge with him when he's out there on the baseball field.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that's a good thing. And, you know, I mean, I feel like he's evolved a little bit into the kind of guy who, you know, still, you know, maybe I'm sure there's still an ego there because you don't get to this point in life. You're not as good as you can be if you don't have 100%. An ego. It's just the way it is. But, you know, I also like that he seems to be, again, just outsider perspective. You know, he definitely seems to be a lot more team oriented than, you know, Manny effing Machado oriented, even though there's still that guy there too. So I think it's a good combination. I think he's in a good place. You know, I think he's in a good place professionally, personally. He's a little bit more well-rounded now. You know, people turn to him and, you know, I think that's a good thing for everybody.
He loves it. No, he loves it. I interviewed a couple weeks ago, and I really wanted to talk about, you know, him being a family man. He didn't want to touch that. He's happy to talk about SDFC. He loves it, man. He wears, I'm not sure if you noticed, Darren, I'm sure that you watch you are an apt viewer of all my Marty Time TV post-game videos, but he's always representing, especially on game day, wearing the gear, wearing the hat, wearing the shirt, wearing a crazy vest, has the original founding, I'm sorry, I'm really hungry.
What do you got there? Tater tot?
It's August's leftover cantaloupe. I eat scraps.
Oh, nice. Oh, see, here I was resisting the urge to finish my my strawberries, and you're just chowing away mid-sentence too.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just like,
got some strawberries and blueberries.
It's been the first day of school. I've been running like a crazy person. You'll be shocked to know I'm thoroughly disorganized. Then I had tech issues. So like right now, all of a sudden, I was overwhelmed.
I thought this only happened on AM radio that people had tech issues. What's the deal? Seems to follow you around. Maybe
it does.
maybe it's you more than anything else.
Then it's breakfast burritos. I'd be chowing down like, you know, mid-sentence on the. Shout out habaneros. I miss you. Still there, by the way. I drove by a couple weeks ago. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. Where was I? I was talking about Manny. Oh yeah. By the way, he does listen. He's aware of the broadcast because when I interviewed him, I asked you for some questions for SDFC, and I told him these questions came straight from the SDFC radio booth. So Manny Machado is well aware. Before I get to SDFC,
well, he probably thinks it's Adrian Garcia Marquez then.
Probably.
He doesn't think it's my question.
Before I get to SDFC, and I want to get to Section 1904 and everything you're doing so people know where to find your excellent content, Darren. One more thing on Padres and Dodgers, because they're going to go ahead and they'll face up on Friday. That's going to be fun. That looks like it's shaping up to be, it's going to be Michael King, Dylan Cease, and then I would imagine Yu Darvish. Hopefully, fingers crossed, right? Everything goes well with him tonight, right? Darvish,
I thought I read something different, but I think you might.
Oh, you did. Tell me, where'd you read it?
I don't have that.
I'm pretty sure it's Michael King because I spoke to him briefly yesterday. And he, you know, how you feeling after your first game? Couple innings. He said good. I believe he's going to go on Friday. So that would be Dylan Cease Saturday, right? And if things go well with, it should be Yu Darvish on Sunday, right? Anyways, speaking of which, how do I get rid of this thing? Sorry. Do you think the Dodgers, Dave Roberts, their pitching coach, deliberately trying to get into Tatis's head?
Into whose head?
Fernando Tatis.
I think just across the league, everybody tries to do this now. You know, I don't think it's, you know, but Friday night, I mean, probably won't take long, you know, to have somebody. And by the way, like Tatis is quoted today. And maybe you were there when he was talking about this, but you know, he's quoted today by Kevin Acee when Kevin wasn't talking about the room and the group. Did you read that story?
The group, you know,
Yeah.
Preller does do that. He always refers to them as the group. So
with a
that was,
capital G. Okay. Or is that a little bit of a creative license there from Ace Man? I don't
no,
know.
it's the group. It really is the group. That's what
Does
he
the
says
group
all
know
the
that?
time.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure that everybody in the group knows that they're in the capital G group, but or that they get summoned to the room with a capital R. But he did, you know, Fernando did say like you know that sometimes the up and in stuff is getting to him. I'm like, man, you put that out there. What do you think they're going to keep doing? They're just going to keep doing this, you know. And he's talking about how he's resisted the urge to go out to the mound and start a fight, and you know,
He's a lover. He's a lover, not a fighter. Come on. What are we
yeah,
talking
I
about?
think we've established that. So, you know, I don't know that he's I would be kind of curious to even know what that looks like. Like, what does fighting Fernando even look like out there on the mound? I mean, for the life of me, maybe he'd surprise us all. But you know, he did talk about that. And listen, you know, if you're even suggesting at all that this is having an impact on you and your success, what do you think they're going to keep doing? So, you know, I mean, it's a cruel sport. It is a really, really cruel sport. And, you know, when you hit 700 against the Dodgers, the way that Fernando has, and then you hit the longest home run in Dodger Stadium history, you know, like they got to try something, you know, they can't really get you out. So they got to try some sort of psychological warfare. And then that leaked into just not only psychological, but physical warfare where, you know, we could go back and relive that. But yeah, I mean, I think that's probably part of the approach from a lot of these teams, Marty, because, you know, he sort of admits that it has an impact on him and the impact isn't good. So, you know, that's the difference between big league baseball and minor league baseball. In the minor leagues, you pitch to your strengths, and in the big leagues, you pitch to their weaknesses. And if they feel like that's a weakness for him, they're just going to keep doing it until he proves that it's not a weakness anymore for him.
And one thing with him, when he is struggling, he wears it. His body language reveals it more than anything else. And it's different with him. It's different with him than any player. And every single player goes with struggles. But when he's going through something, man, you see it in his approach. Even on a home run, you'll see it the way he rounds the bases. So hopefully he gets it going. All right, Darren. We spent a lot of time talking Padres. I told you I'd get you up by a certain time because you're a busy man. I have projects I'm working on, so I have to. Yeah,
don't you have somewhere to go? You said
I do have somewhere to go. I have many projects. I have a list. I don't have time to talk about the Hall of Fame, Gates, training camp. I don't have that. We'll have to do that another time. I got to Preller. All right, Darren. Let's go with SDFC.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you know this, but my August is a huge fan of SDFC. He's changed his loyalties on his favorite players all the time. He went from wanting a Chucky Lozano jersey to a Dreyer jersey, and now he wants the goalie. I'm sorry, I forgot his name already, but he knows more about SDFC and golf and F1, F2, and F3. It's ridiculous. But let's go to SDFC, man. How much fun has it been cover this team with all their success at the gate and on the field in year one?
It's been a delight. It has really been such a breath of fresh air professionally that I think I need. And, you know, doing
good.
Yeah, radio shows. Listen, I mean, it was a good 20-year run. Like it could have gone longer under certain circumstances. But, you know, in terms of needing, you know, some sort of, you know, just
professional growth.
Yeah, professional growth, some different air to breathe. I think, you know, getting a chance to be around the players a little bit, you know, and I'll say, like, you know, Marty has always had a, you know, good connection, you know, and a willingness to go down there and set up a tripod and do all the sort of stuff and interview these players before the game. It just becomes harder. You know, it just became a lot harder around the Padres. And I felt like at least I was a little bit more disconnected. And, you know, this is a way to get back to doing the thing that I think that we love doing so much, which is feeling a connection to players and feeling a connection, you know, to an organization. And, you know, I would put Mikey Vadas, the head coach at SDFC, on a very, very short list of some of my favorite people that I've had a chance to interact with and get to know a little bit. Yeah, he's a really, he is just a really insightful, thoughtful person. I really, really dig the guy. The players, you know, are, you know, they come from every different walk of life. This guy, you know, was in Denmark, and this guy's from Norway, and this guy was in Mexico, and this guy used to play in San Sebastian. So, like, you know, you just get a chance to meet and interact with people who are wired a little bit differently. So being around it, like, and that's really the role of the broadcaster, is just to be around it. You know, there's a lot of moving parts, as you would imagine, with a professional sports organization. There's a lot of moving parts with an expansion club. And there are people there that deal with the marketing side and they deal with the PR side. And, I don't know who, I know like 10% of who these influencers are who come into the building every day. But,
Wait, did you say influencers?
Oh, yeah. They get a lot of like influencers to show up at the games and stuff. So,
Really?
It's all part of sports now. It's part
I've
of
seen,
sports
no, I've
marketing.
seen, I don't think there was any on the Padres. No,
Yeah,
but I've seen
I
some.
don't know.
Okay. No, all
They
right.
get a few. I mean, the CEO is kind of an influencer, isn't he?
I
So,
don't think so.
yeah, he thinks he is. But I like being around the team, and it's a great story. I mean, it's a great story of a team that 8 months ago, like we're 20 strangers. These guys didn't know each other, and now they're sitting here with 8 games to go, and they're in first place in the Western Conference by 4 points. And they're in line to do some things that have never been done before by an expansion club in Major League Soccer history. So I love the lane that I'm in with them. I love doing the games. It's a totally different discipline. It's a totally different experience than doing radio or even doing pre-games or doing BP shows. So, it's just a totally, and it brings me back a little bit to some of those fun days of the BP show where we were so connected and players wanted to come on and wanted to be a part of it. And, you get a chance to learn some of these guys' stories and you get to interact with them and realize, that is a pretty unique thing that's going on here with this club. So, it's been a blast. I've really enjoyed it. And working with Adrian Garcia Marquez has been great. He's a true pro. I didn't expect to be sitting doing this many radio broadcasts. If I'm being honest, it just sort of happened.
How many have you done?
Let's see. I mean, I could count. I mean,
you don't have to count. Listen, we don't have Scott Sibley to help us with our math.
6, 9, 10. Probably done about 23 of the
really?
25.
Good for you, man. That's awesome.
So, and again, it's not like, I'm not an analyst, but like color commentary is the actual correct term. So, and people have been really willing to help, like I appreciate, a guy like John Schaefer giving me some advice. I appreciate a guy like Jesse Agler giving me some advice.
Nice.
So, and just helping me, because even after 20 plus years of doing what you and I have been doing, it's a totally different experience. It's way different. How do you even prepare for a match? So, that's all the kind of stuff that I had to learn. And like I said, I do love it. I love the way the city's embraced it.
Good.
I love that August has embraced it.
Loves it. Loves it, man.
And I think it's really, it's been a lot of fun and it's really successful. And there's really, really good people behind it, which I think is just a huge credit to them in terms of how they built this thing. Just strictly speaking, people can say whatever they want about any other aspect of it, but from the pure team standpoint, from the sporting director to the head coach and to the staff and to the players, like these guys they've gotten almost everything right. And it's been great.
That's amazing. That's really hard to do. That's very, very hard to go ahead and do in year one. So
yeah, I mean, they're standing like they're 3 wins away from being the winningest expansion club of all time. I think their aspirations are probably a little bit higher. I think they probably, you don't hang a trophy for that. So I think that they would like to, to keep pursuing, but like they're also just dialed in a way, like they're just like, well, who's next? That's all we're really thinking about. We're thinking about San Jose on Sunday. That's our priority. And like I said, the people, the players, they're really just, they're you know me, I don't like sticking my neck out for anybody. I don't feel like anybody because you have a 5-minute interview with people.
Right.
But every once in a while you can get an inkling about what somebody's truly about. You just said it about Michael King, and I believe you on that.
Yes.
And I feel that way about somebody like Mikey Varas and some of the other players that I've had a chance to meet.
That's great. Darren, really, really quick. I mean, by the way, speaking of Mikey Varas, I heard the same thing from one of my last conversations with Bryce Miller came in spring training where he talked about he talked, by the way, how extraordinary it was the entire staff at SDFC was to deal with. And he talked about how welcoming and how out of the way Mikey Varas went to go ahead and sit down with him, talk to him. So I heard that about that. When you hear that from other media members, I think that means something. So
yeah, he's a real one.
That's great. I hope I get a chance to talk to him one day. All right, Darren, I went to the Padres gift shop yesterday because August, for the first day of second grade, wanted I'm not sure why Jake Cronenworth of all the players, but he wanted a Jake Cronenworth t-shirt. They were completely out for whatever reason of all kids t-shirts at 0. But he also wants a CJ Dos Santos t-shirt. So how is the stock? How's that gift shop looking at SDFC? Because when I go there, man, they've been out of all the kid stuff for him. By the way, that's a great thing because it's in demand. 2 kids in his class today, when I dropped them off, were wearing SDFC gear. So let's go.
Yeah, I was in there on Saturday. As a matter of fact, that's what I was doing in Mission Valley. I was stopping by to buy a birthday gift for a 2-year-old. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So,
Me too.
so I did take a look. I took a long look at some of the children's. I'm terrible at this. I was like, well, this should fit a 2-year-old, right? The guy's like, no, this is for 7-year-olds. Yeah. Well, he'll grow into it. He'll be 7 someday, won't he?
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay,
why is this a
5
bad
years.
gift?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they got him. They got him out there. So
All right.
I think we could
Okay.
work on it. Maybe we
Let's
got the
do
right
it.
ears on this. I'm
Gotta
a
go
lot
game.
of people tuning in, watching Marty Time TV. So,
Great.
anybody from SDFC, can we work on what size are we looking for?
Well, he's Darren. He is going to be 8 years old. Let's go with a
8.
size S.
8.
8 years old. 8 years old. October. He's an October baby. So yes, let's get a size S.
Size
He's
S.
big.
So that's small.
Yes.
Okay. Like an actual, but not an adult small.
Not an adult. He's 8 years old. He's going to be
I don't know what
8.
that
Come on,
is.
Darren.
All right. Well, somebody
Oh,
with
I-
children can help me out on this.
Yeah, and somebody
All right.
with children can help you out. So that would be a good thing.
Yeah, because
All
I
right.
don't know really what I'm doing here. I'm sort of just fumbling around like, I don't know.
I need to get to a game. I really want to bring him back to a game. We've been to, I think, 3 games so far this season. He freaking loves it. He's the loudest guy in the section every
Only
single
3
time.
more to go at home.
I gotta hurry up. I gotta hurry up and hustle on this. Okay, Darren. I know we both have to go different projects. Your new project, Section 1904. Tell us about it. What you guys do. How people can find you. Go.
Section1904.com. Thank you, Marty,
Okay.
for mentioning it. We've long been trying to book Marty Caswell to be a guest on the show, so she can be our Padres insider. But
Oh,
she's in demand.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, it's just listen. It's our former colleague from Mighty 1090, John Gennaro, found himself after many stops between Mighty 1090 and Section 1904, found himself in a sort of similar situation to me.
Okay.
I guess to you, to lots of other people, in that, we just sort of like, there's probably a better way of doing local media, respectfully. I mean, people that got radio jobs and print jobs, hang on to them
Sure.
for as long as possible, right?
Absolutely.
TV jobs, but I think that there's probably quite a bit of dissatisfaction out there. And
Is anybody
we sort of-
happy?
yeah, I mean, and listen, it's not like the grass is always greener. I mean, I'm preaching to the choir. I'm guessing, these things are hard. They
Mhm.
are very,
They
very
are.
hard to try to do on your own. It's a lot of trial and error, like you said, and it's not just about the technical support side of it all. But I just to start a local media company. I mean, agonized over the name forever, the logo, still a work in progress, trying to figure that out. Working with a
Mhm.
local artist who's on local artist time, who's definitely I think going to be worth the wait for us to get this logo. But it's it's a daily podcast. It's 5 days a week.
Okay.
We've decided that we're going to at least to start, we're going to go the route of subscription based, not advertiser based.
Interesting.
That way, if I say something stupid, I don't have to put an advertiser in the crosshairs for
How
other
much
people.
is a subscription? How much?
It was $5 a month, but for
Okay.
$5 a month, you get at least daily podcasts. I think we're doing a video stream today, as a matter of fact, at 11 a.m.
Oh, dude, we gotta hustle up. Get powder.
So I'm just
powder.
gonna
Put
sit
your
here
makeup
with
on.
a second cup of coffee. And it's a daily podcast, and I mean, I think the thing, Marty, is like, I don't know if you've noticed this. 3 and 4 hours is a long effing time to be
Yeah.
doing these shows, and not everybody's built to do them.
No.
Just gonna say, like, not everybody's built to do it, and the people that even are built to do them, you and I know them, and I think they don't want to do them.
Yeah.
So to be able to do like a good hour of whatever it is that you want to talk about,
Yeah.
whether that's something interesting with the Padres or something interesting with SDFC, or
Shakira in
last
the
week
elevator.
we interviewed a chef, like a
Mhm.
chef who won a cooking competition on NBC. Her name is Emily Brubaker. It's a way for us just to A, stay out there, B, be about sports and culture,
Sure.
and truly be able to focus on some of the other stuff going on. And to be free to do whatever it is that we want to do and how we want to do it. And, it's not just a daily podcast. It's,
Mhm.
access to Discord, and it's been an email, like a newsletter. So, there's a lot. There's
Do you
website.
write? Are you writing? Do you
I
do the
haven't
writing?
yet, but I would
Okay.
like to,
you
I would really
should.
like to. I know.
You should.
I know.
That's the background, right?
Well,
Writing.
one of them.
I mean,
kinda.
yeah. You should do
Yeah.
it.
I thought about it. Yeah, I mean, I would like to. I would like to do a little bit more. But I mean, John and I don't know that you and John had the greatest relationship back when we were at Mighty 1090, but that's something I think we've all grown a little bit. And I think John is a really talented guy, and he's a guy that does write, and he does write very well. So he's able to fill a little bit of that. But it's just us, for at least an hour a day, Monday through Friday. And it might be about sports, but, there's also a lot of sports out there, and it's sort of a lot of the same thing. So, we're just trying to, approach it from a little bit of a different angle. And we've been pretty consistent with it now for months, and it's picking up some traction, and it's been great. And we thank everybody who's subscribed, and we wish that more people would, and hopefully it continues to grow. So, it's just us, staying out there a little bit, and it's good with me with what I do with SDFC to have another place where I can talk about that, or I can talk about Padres, or I can talk about none of it. And I could just talk about, other things for me.
2 more minutes to go. What was I going to ask you? Oh, do you plan to talk football?
I think John wants to more than I
NFL?
do. Yeah. I mean, he's more NFL than I am. I think me well enough to know I might never talk about it again, but I don't know that that's realistic. I don't know that that's a realistic thing. What about you? Are you going to do NFL?
I am getting further and further. I'm, someone proposed that to me. I'm kind of getting further and further. I'm more removed from it than I've ever been in my entire life. Like Antonio Gates was just inducted in the Hall of Fame, and I was going to maybe put him on. I talked to his people. I knew a lot of the Charger players people that we were friends with, where they were there for the ceremony. So, but I didn't even watch the ceremony. I watched the one clip where he thanked Phillip Rivers, and that was kind of it. I just, it's
Did
different.
you go to USD?
Did I go to USD? No. No, absolutely, God, absolutely not. Absolutely.
But I also work with Adrian Garcia Marquez, right? And he's the Spanish language broadcaster for the Chargers.
And I get, and there's people that listen. There's a generation of sports fans right now who are growing up Padres fans that are growing up to be SDFC fans, but also don't really remember the Chargers ever being in San Diego.
Right.
So it's going to eventually change. It's going to cycle itself out of people who hate Dean Spanos and understand what the Chargers used to represent, what they represent now. But there was zero chance I was going to go because I just think it was just disingenuous. It's a PR stunt, and if you're really looking to go ahead and do something in San Diego, it's a practice. It's a freaking practice. It means absolutely nothing. It's a practice, Allen Iverson. Right. So no, no. By the way, I'm so disconnected. I didn't realize they were practicing in San Diego until it was that day, and then I I didn't even know. And then I gave Jake Garriani and others the business, Julian Delgado the business for being there at training camp. But I get what people should cover what you want, root for what you want, love what you want.
I don't want to do anything that I'm not passionate about.
I'm over it.
I hear enough of that now. I hear enough. When people used to criticize the show, they used to say, you just sound bored. And I'd say, yeah, okay. I guess some of this is boring to me. Yeah. And I know people would say, really talking about sports? How could that ever get boring? But some of the stuff is just, if you're not passionate about it, then you shouldn't talk about it. And, it's the one thing I've noticed. I feel like sometimes, I understand that criticism, that critique of our show. Yep. Because, I think that there are times where, I would talk about stuff and you'd be like, God almighty, he's talking about tennis again. But, if it's not for you, it's not for you. And I think that's the great thing about doing what it is that we're doing now. If we're not interested and we're just not going to talk about it because people think we should, or some program director thinks that we should.
Really quick. One of my favorite guests of all time was Steve Sands. And Darren, brace yourself. Not a golf fan. I'm just not. I find the sport just so boring. Yep. But I'm going to take August to a driving range because he freaking loves it. Right? It's never about me. But if you have someone that's passionate about it and they have a gift of talking, they can make anything sound interesting. And I think that's part of what you want to go ahead and do as a broadcaster. You bring in the people that bring the energy and bring the passion, because that matters. I love talking about baseball. I think if I were to go ahead and talk football, I think it could work because I do love it. I love the game itself. I don't like the bull crap behind it, but I do love when the sport's here. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, again, it has to feel real, organic. Yeah. It just can't be something that you're doing because you feel like you have to check a box. Yeah. Because, some focus group somewhere in a different part of the country tells you that you should be talking more NFL football. You're like,
I know. Yeah,
I
agree.
I don't know that it. No, that's for somebody else. That's not how I do it. So, I trust myself a little bit more than I trust some of the people who are behind some of these decisions. So,
Darren,
I will take my chances.
Darren. All right, you have to go ahead and you have to reapply your makeup for your pod that people can find at 1904. And you're on the Twitter at D Smith Show. You're on Blue Sky. I should have put that up there. I'm so sorry, but I will add that later on. Blue Sky.
I mean, are you on any of these social media channels anymore, or are they all just sort of a total drain on energy.
Oh, it's a total drain. It's an
Yeah.
absolute no. Actually, I do like to go to Blue Sky because there are people I know that left Twitter for understandable reasons, and they're gone forever. Like our Will Holder, like he's out there on Blue Sky. So I try to put stuff on there as much as possible. I don't do as much as I do on Twitter, which I call Twitter, and I check in on Threads. I peep it on Threads every once in a while. But yeah, man, it's good to see you. Let's go to Rockies. I haven't had a Rockies cheeseburger in over a year. It's been forever. Maybe with you.
Martha, what's going on, man?
Oh man, not Rockies. I gotta go. They don't allow kids there. So
Really?
They don't allow kids, even on the outdoor patio. They had the outdoor section. They once COVID happened, they opened up that patio on the outside, but you still have to be 21 to even enter that. So it is a kid-free zone. So
how are we gonna go to Rockies?
You can still go. I'll get a sitter.
Get a sitter, Marty. Let's get it
I'll
done.
get a sitter. Let's go.
All right, let's do it.
All right. That's D. Smith Show. D. Smith Show, you're the man. Tell John hello. My enemy, John, hello.
Is he your enemy?
Good. No, he's not.
I'm determined to build this bridge.
But I clashed with everybody. At some point. It's what happens. If you get in my way, man, I'm going to run you over.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's accurate. I know. I watched Marty run over many, many people. How's your boy Little Sills doing, by the way? You're gonna go on Sills? You're gonna go on Silio show?
Dude, that was the most bizarre thing I've seen. I was doing a roundtable. I was doing a show with I forgot who, and he pops in. Hey, I'm a big fan. No, you don't. You hate me. You hate me. What are you talking about? You hate everybody. What?
In fairness, he's probably in such an altered state of mind he doesn't even remember.
Is that right?
Yeah. Go on the show. See what happens. Take a shot, Marty.
You go on the show.
No. I'm probably gonna be. I'm gonna be okay with that.
Pass.
Unless he wants to talk some football, soccer.
Geez. All right. Listen to me. I gotta go. I got another thing to go to.
All right. Well, goodbye. Thank you everybody for watching. Bye. Thank you.
That's Darren D. Smith Show. I'm Marty Caswell. We're brought to you by the all new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. Have a great day. Great days. Have a great day. I'll see you at Rockies.
Team's been struggling. Did you find yourself regretting the situation more and more when?
Can you rephrase that question in a better way for me, please?
In a better way?
Yes.
Well, did you?
Are you asking me if I was regretting what happened because my team struggled?
Well, when you're not out there, you can't help.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to be with my team. I couldn't. As a player who plays baseball, I couldn't play baseball. I would have liked to have been out there with my team.
Did you regret it all? What you did after getting suspended?
That's the same question there. Again, what happened, happened. I'm ready to move on. I'm just happy to be out there and play baseball.